So first of all, 226. I'm looking for the zeros, okay? So find the zeros or the x-intercepts. So if it factors, to me, that's the fastest and easiest way to get it. And not only that, but if it factors, you can get the answers that will be exact answers. Now when we do the calculator actually doesn't do math. It really does not do math, okay? When it's looking for the zeros, it will do this thing called extrapolation, where it gets closer and closer and closer, closer and closer and closer. And sometimes you guys have seen weird answers in your calculators, and you'll see this E something or other, right? So oftentimes, it'll get to 0, but it might be off by 0.000001, right? So the calculator oftentimes doesn't give you the exact answer, okay? So, but if it factors, let's just factor. So on number 1, it will factor, okay? So if you want the zeros, set it equal to 0, okay? I've got my 2x cubed minus 12x squared plus 18x, okay? So if you're finding the zeros, set it equal to 0, right? If we want to find the zeros, set it equal to 0, okay? Now, what do they have in common? A common 2x, and I'd have an x squared minus a 6x plus 9, right? And again, if it factors, really, this is the easiest way to do it. That's why factoring is nice to know. Okay, 3 and 3, we agree? So let's go 0 equals 2x times an x minus 3 and an x minus 3, okay? So my zeros are at x equals 0, because if I solve this one, I would divide by 2, divide by 2. I'd have x equals 3, because if I solve for x, I'd go plus 3, and I'm going to get 3 again, okay? So 3 occurs twice. So I do know this. It's going to be at 3 twice and 0, okay? Now, I don't need the calculator. We are going to use the calculator, but I don't need the calculator to do this one. Here's what I know. It's a positive 2x cubed. Positive, right? So at the very end behavior, it's going to head off to infinity and beyond, right? I know that. It's positive 2x cubed, so at the end it's going to head off to positive infinity, okay? If this were a negative number, it would have gone down to negative infinity, okay? It's got to go through this twice. It's going to go through my 3 once. So instead of going down, it's going to change directions and go through it again. So it goes through it twice, it comes back up. It's going to go through 0 once, so when it goes through 0, it goes like this. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, now let's do it on the calculator. So if I want to do it on the calculator, first of all, I got a kind of decent idea of my window. So let's talk about the window first. So if I go to my window, okay, negative 10 to 10 would probably work. I might squeeze it up a little bit more than that because I know I might go negative 5 to 5. I don't need to have it as wide because I know that my zeros were at 0 and 3, right? So negative 5 to 5. I don't need negative 10 to 10. The height. I'm not sure what the heights are, but if I stick to negative 10 to 10 on my y's, I'll get a pretty good idea. If I need to stretch it out, I can change my window, okay? So the window I have right now is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's my window, and up to 10 and to negative 10, right? So let's plug it in. I'm going to go to my y equals. And if I'm going too fast, slow me down, please. I'm going to go to my y equals. I'm going to type in my 2x variable to the third power over arrow. Okay? Subtract. Don't use negative. Subtract. Subtract 12x squared plus 18x. Okay? So the cubed is this little up arrow. This little, they call it a caret. Okay? Yeah, I'm going to go to the third power. Okay? Yeah, probably. You can get the cube though also in math. Okay? So everybody have it in their calculator? Okay, so let's push graph and see what happens. Okay? Not a bad window, huh? It's actually a pretty good window. I like that window, okay? Looks like it goes up at about maybe 9, 8, something like that. So my graph would be a little bit taller, but I'm okay with what I have. So if I need to regraph this, so I get a better graph, I might say, okay, well, it's probably more like this. It goes up to about here, right? So it looks really more like this. Oh, and then it touches and goes back up. Okay, that's probably a better illustration of it. And my calculator helped me get the y values, okay? All right, thumbs up. Now, what happens here, this is called a double root or a double zero because it happens twice, right? So it goes through 3 twice, and that's why it goes through it and back up again. Thumbs up. Questions? Yes.
Okay, we're having some problems with the calculator.
Oh, you should have an x. 12x. 12x. Right. Okay.
I did not see that.
I don't know. It's all good. Okay, now let's take a look at number 2. Okay. Now number 2, it will not factor. It won't factor. I mean, maybe we can find some fancy way to factor it. Sometimes you can. But if it becomes a point where it's like too much work to factor, you're not sure how to factor, let's just graph it, okay? So on number 2, let's go straight to y equals, let's go x to the third power minus 8x squared. Oops, see, I already blew it. Let's try it again. X to the third power over arrow minus 8x squared plus 11x plus 20, okay? Yeah, okay, you're ahead of me. I like that. Saul's ahead of me. I'm going to graph it, and we're going to talk about exactly what you said. So the window doesn't work very well, does it? Okay. So, okay, let's graph it, okay? So, all right, here's what Saul saw. Okay, the window's not very good, is it?
I think it's great.
So I want to do 2 things. I want to go higher up. Does that make sense? I want to go higher up on the y's. So my y max needs to go higher up, right? So go to my window. Let's change my y max to, I've got 10. How about 20? You guys want to go to 20? So we'll go higher up, right? Let's go to 20. I'm just taking a guess at 20. When you take calculus, you're going to learn how to get these right off the bat, okay?
David says 20 doesn't work.
20 doesn't work? Okay.
Let's go to 50. What's up 5,000?
Okay. No, probably not. Okay, so Saul, what do you think? Let's go to 30?
I'd say let's go to 30. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to y max. Let's try 30, okay?
50.
Okay. Okay. All right, 30 works. Now, I'd also maybe need to see a little bit more of the x. So if I look at it here, I'd like to spread it out and see more of the x. So maybe instead of going to 5 on the x, let's go to 10 this time, okay? So if I go to the x, go to my window, and let's stretch the x out from 5 to, say, 10, okay? I'm going to graph it, okay? There we go. Now, where are my zeros? My zeros are at -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You guys see that? So my zeros are at, zeros are at x equals -1, x equals 4, and x equals 5, okay? So we can put that in. I can go, okay, I'm going to go my -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to go all the way up to 10, 20, 30, right? And it looks to me like the max of this is pretty close to, in fact, I can do a trace to find out where that max is, right? I'm going to do a trace. Pretty close to about 24, okay? The max is pretty close to about 24, right? So to use trace, I just hit the trace button, which is right there. And I use back and forth arrows. So, all right, about 24. Maybe right about there, okay? So, looks something like this, right?
You just push trace and go back and forth with the arrows.
Yeah, oops. 4, 1, 2, 3, oh, 4, 4, 5. There we go. Yeah, let me do it again for you, okay? So I hit trace. See the trace button right where my finger is? Trace, and then use over arrows, not up and down arrows, but over arrows, because you're manipulating the x variable. You're manipulating x, so you go back and forth until I get to about the top, and you can see the. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's
And I.
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know for sure it goes through 20. Why do I know it goes through 20? Why do I know for sure it has to go through 20? There's my y-intercept. You guys agree? It's got to go through 20. Okay. Now that wasn't too bad, because when I looked at this darn thing, I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to factor it? Right? It will factor, by the way. It will, but the technique of factoring is not worth me teaching it to you. because it's really difficult. I did one for Landon last night that Mr. Clerch gave, and I thought, oh, nobody's going to get this except for me. So we did it, but, you know, I didn't give you one like that, though. Okay, so turn the page. Okay, now, again, on example 3, it might factor, it might, but I'm like, are you kidding me? So let's graph it. Okay, now the last window we used is still in there. Okay, so let's try Saul's window because it worked, and then if it doesn't work, we'll readjust it. Okay, so let's go y equals, let's put this one in clear. 10x to the 4th power over arrow, subtract, not negative, subtract 11x to the 3rd power, okay, over arrow, subtract 42x plus 7x plus 12. Okay, how am I doing?
42x squared.
Uh-oh. Aye, that is, thank you very much, Cole. X squared. I would have had the wrong graph, huh? Plus 7x plus 12. Okay, let's graph it. Let's see what it looks like, okay? Alright, probably want to adjust my window, okay? So, first of all, it looks like it's probably going to be a big W. Looks like a big W, but I can't see the bottom part of the W. So if I want to see the bottom part of the W, let's go down further, which would be the Y min, right? Let's go down further. So window, let's go to my Y minimum. Let's change my Y minimum to, what do you want to do?
15.
Negative 25? Okay, negative 25 it is. Okay.
Oh, no. You gotta do more than 25.
More, guys agree? I agree. Saul says more than 25. Saul, what do you want to go to?
Let's go 50.
Let's go. That's what you said, wasn't it? You said negative 50, right?
This
50 doesn't work, huh?
You can do like 70.
Really?
Go 427.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
70 works great though.
70? Okay, negative 70.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go window. Negative 70, right? Graph. Okay. All right, nice. Okay, so I know what it looks like, kind of a weird looking W, right? But what I don't know is the zeros. And I see 4 zeros. Now, the zeros don't go through nice numbers. Well, 2 of them do, I think, but I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is this. Remember how we used the calculator to find the maximums? And I found that in calculate, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to use this blue calculate. So we're going to go my calculate in my blue button, okay? So I'm going to go second calculate. Am I going too fast? Okay, so I'm using this blue button right there. Right there. That blue button right there. So it's second calc. And I'm looking for zeros, right? For zeros. This time instead of max, minimum, I'm looking for the zeros, okay? Enter. I really got to go slowly on this one, okay? Now, it's going to ask for a left bound. Now, you got to think about this, okay? Here's the zero. You guys see it? This is below it, but it's also left of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and above it is right of it.
Yes. So it's where I want it. So I'm going to push enter and lock it in. Okay. It is to the left of the zero. You guys agree? It is. It really is to the left of it. It doesn't say up and above. It doesn't say higher and lower. It says left. So good enough. Enter, and then move my cursor over. Now it's way up there. And way up there is to the right of it. Even though it's above it, it's still to the right of it. Does that make sense? Enter. Now it's going to look for my zero between that tiny little spot, which is where it is, right? Enter again. Where's my zero? Okay, look at my trace button. Right? What's the y value?
2.5.
That's what we want. What's the y value? 0, right? So our x-intercept is about 2.56. Okay? Wouldn't have factored. You guys agree? Wouldn't have factored at all. Okay? So 1 x-intercept, x is equal to about a 2.56. Now, there's 3 other zeros. So let's take the time to find the other 3. And this is going to be good practice because if you didn't have a clue what I did the first time, right, let's do it again. So let's find the other 3 zeros. So where do we start? We'll go to second calculate, right? Second calculate. Let's go to 0, right? Enter. Am I going too fast? Okay, now I already found that one, so let's find the other. So I'm going to move my cursor over, not up and down, move my cursor over, and it wants left bound. Okay, I'm to the right of it, not to the left of it. I'm to the right of it, so keep going up. So if I'm above it, I'm to the left of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right here, where it's sitting, it is to the right of that 0. You see, I'm looking for this 0 right there. I am to the left of it. Okay? So I'm going to push enter and lock it in. Okay?
Got it.
Okay, enter, lock it in. Okay, now, it wants to the right of it, so I'm going to put it over here someplace, because even though it's below it, it's to the right of it. Okay? So I'm going to put my cursor over here, left bound, right bound. Okay? So move my cursor over, so to the right of it. Maybe there's good enough, right? As long as I'm to the right of it, enter. Okay, so now it's going to look for my 0 within here, and sure enough, that would give me this one. Okay? So enter again. We're going to do this 2 more times, so if you're still a little lost, don't worry, because we've got to find all 4, right? Enter. And I get, what's the y value? 0, perfect, so I get about a 0.6, right? So I'm going to get an x equals 0.6, all right? All right, now let's find the other one. We'll get 2 more to find, and of course it's good practice to see it 2 more times, right? So I'm going to go back to calculate, right? I'm going to go to my 0, right? Enter, left bound. I want to find, now this time I'm looking for this one, right? I want this 0 here, so I'm going to go left of it and put it down over here somewhere, because that's to be the left of it, okay? Over here somewhere, so bring my cursor over there. Okay, so bring my cursor over there. Okay, right there, it's to the left of it. You guys agree? Okay, I'm going to push enter and lock it in. Right bound, let's bring it up here. Even though it's above it, it's mostly the idea that it's to the right of the point, correct? You guys see it? I see above and below, but it's really left and right, okay? Enter. Okay, guess, there it is. So, y value is 0, so I get a negative 0.5. X equals a negative 0.5. Okay, and then the last one, second, calculate my 0, okay? So I want this 0, so the left of it would put it up here somewhere. Does that make sense? The left of it would put it up here somewhere, because that would be the left-hand side of this point. So let's drop my cursor over there. So I'm going to bring my cursor over. Bring my cursor over. And so right up there, even though it's above it, it's still to the left of it, correct? Enter. Right bound, so I'm going to bring it down here somewhere. So even though it's below it, it's still to the right-hand side of it, right? Enter. So the calculator knows to look within this region here. Enter. And there it is, a negative 1.56. So this one would have factored. I can tell by these answers, but oh my goodness. Do you really want to factor that?
No.
Yes.
No. So I'm going to get a negative 1.56. So these are my zeros, okay? So let's go ahead and put those in. So I'm going to go on my x-axis, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go a negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Let's see, go back to my window. We had a y max of 30, 10, 20, 30. Y min was like negative 70, wasn't it? So I'm going to have to get my ruler. Let me get my ruler, drop this down a ways, huh? Okay, all right. So I'm going to go probably negative 10, negative 20, negative 30, negative 40. Right?
Okay, no.
All right, now let's try and put this in here. So I'm going to have points at 0.6. It's about there, right? Negative 0.5, about there. 2.56, about there. Negative 1.56, about there, right? If I wanted to get these points, I can use my trace button to get these points. So I go to trace. That one's at about negative 17. Right about there. Okay. Trace, let's keep going. This one's at a height about maybe a 12. About a height of 12. Maybe right about there. In fact, it has to be 12. Duh. It has to be 12 Come on, guys. You agree it has to be 12? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be 12. Trace, let's see how far this one goes. Maybe about -70. Pretty close to -70, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty darn close to about -70. So now I can graph it, right? It's going to look something like this. There we go. And I'm off by a little bit. Darn it. Oh, that's an ugly graph. Oh, that is so ugly. Oh, well, there it is, huh? Okay. Now, let's look at our journal. Page 84, okay?
Wow.
Yeah.